Hey, how you doing? Scotty from Scott'sBassLessons.com. Hope you're well. Today I've got something completely different for you. Over at the Academy in Scott'sBassLessons.com, every single week we have guest tutors streaming live seminars. They pick a topic. It could be walking bass, soloing, how to use effects, a ton of different stuff. And then they also do a live Q&A part as well, where they interact with the Academy audience and community and answer their questions directly in real time. Now, a few weeks ago, Todd Johnson, the great Todd Johnson, check him out on YouTube if you haven't already. He's a great player and he's taught at, all over the US in some of the best institutions there are. And Todd was doing a seminar and talking about something that's really interesting to me. And I think I was watching him do it and I just thought, I've got to share it with you guys because this is really, something that you want to learn. Essentially, he's talking about playing over a tune called So What. Okay, so this tune, So What, was written by Miles Davis and is one of the, if you go to a jam session, this is one of the tunes that will probably get called, especially if it's like a jazz style jam session. So if you're looking at getting into jazz, you need to know this stuff. And what Todd's specifically talking about is how you can outline the changes for the rest of the band so nobody gets lost. Because the number one thing on So What that happens is people in the band get lost and wonder where they are. And as bass players, we have in our power, a really fantastic way of controlling that and giving the rest of the band information in a way that keeps everybody in place in a way that they don't even realize why it's happening. They just love playing with you. And in turn, as Todd Johnson says at the end of this clip, the guys that can do this get gigs. These are the guys that people want to play with. And me personally, I play regularly with a drummer who's like this. I play with him and the band just seems to gel, and it's because he's thinking musically and he has very laid out cue point. He'll give cues to the rest of the band without them even knowing that it's happening. It's really like subliminal. Anyway, I want you to check out Todd Johnson now, talking about how to, map out the changes over a tune like So What, and really take on board what he's saying because it's really, really gold dust. It's real good stuff, this. Excuse the audio, the bass is distorting a bit. We were doing an experiment with Google Plus or Google Hangouts, so we didn't get the audio quite right, but just, see through the audio or hear through the audio and check out what he's saying because it's really, really good stuff. And also, just to wrap up, if you haven't checked out the Academy over at Scott's Bass Lessons yet, do so. It's absolutely epic. There's full step-by-step courses taking you right through beginner things like technique, right through to soloing and the full shebang. And we've also got guys like Ed Friedland, Todd Johnson, Steve Lawson, Anthony Wellington, and a host of Joe Hubbard, host of other bass players, the bass playing elite, education elite, coming in every week and doing live seminars where the entire Academy audience can ask them questions and interact with them and hear what they have to say. Anyway, I'll let Todd Johnson take it over. So here you are. Here's Todd Johnson. Bye.
It seems as if everybody winds up learning to play So What, and you're on your own on the melody. You can figure that out on your own. But what I find happens on modal tunes, the big problem that everybody has is that there's some pitfalls. The biggest one being the form. The form on So What is 8 bars of D minor, another 8 bars of D minor, then your bridge, which is 8 bars of E flat minor, and then another 8 bars of D minor, and then it circulates back to the top. And everything is great for the melody and for the first chorus of the first soloist. And then at that point, it becomes a crapshoot whether we're all going to arrive at the bridge at the same time. Because if anybody goes early or comes late, it's like, oh crap, who's right and who's wrong? And then it's too late. And there's things that I've learned over the years from various sources, some kind and some unkind from some band leaders. Some you learn some of the best lessons the hard way of how to help mark the form and let the bass player, what I'm saying is as the bass player, we can kind of mark the form and lay things out for everybody so we don't have that constant train wreck of arriving at the bridge at different times. And this seems to be a huge problem every time I hear people play So What. So here's what I want to talk about. When we have 8 bars of D minor, or essentially 16 bars of D minor in the beginning of the song, the tendency, or a lot of people approach it, well, I can just play D Dorian for 16 bars and then I'm good to go. But the problem is everybody starts playing around and it's just kind of D Dorian City. And you start being cool and you're playing notes other than the root on 1, and all of a sudden you go, oh, is that bar 4 or bar 5? Uh-oh, we lose the feeling of the phrase, okay? And that's when doubt creeps in, and now we're in trouble. So rather than thinking I'm going to play 8 bars of D minor or 16 bars of D minor, so rather than playing 8 1-bar phrases, we're going to break it down into 4 2-bar phrases. And a nice, easy place to start with that is to aim for the 5th of the chord at the beginning of the second measure. So basically I have D minor, so I'll just walk up the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to target that 5th. Okay, so that's kind of, that 5th is like halfway between the root and the octave. Make sense? So now I can make that into a nice 2-bar phrase. Now I'm back at the root. It's kind of mechanical, but I can just come back down. There's my 5th at the beginning of bar 2. And that adds symmetry to my phrases, and now all of a sudden that 8-bar chunk of harmony is really easy to feel. Okay, check it out. Here we go. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can feel that root 2, 3, 4, hit the 5th, 2, 3, 4. D, fill in the blanks, hit the 5th, 2, 4, boom. So I'm really just playing D minor, okay, but I'm targeting that 5th, and it breaks everything up into nice 2-bar phrases. That's probably maybe the first and easiest thing that we can do. Another variation on that might be to play a bar of D minor and then imply a measure of A7. Okay, so it would be real common for a harmonic player to play D minor, A7, D minor. Just so piano players and guitar players might just play open voices, might play a lot of things, but that 1 and 5 sound, it just kind of takes you there, brings you back, takes you there, brings you back. It's really nice. So listen to that. If I just play 1, 3, 5, 3, just lining that out, listen to that. Now, is that a little obvious? Yeah. Could you play that here and there? Yeah. You don't want to wear that out for 16 bars at a whack, but it gives you some ways to break this up and to incorporate it into building your phrases. Okay, so now I'll kind of combine a little shooting for the 5th and a little bit of A7 every other bar. So I get one of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, nice. Now you can hear that kind of A minor, A7, excuse me, D minor, D minor. You kind of get that vibe in there. It's got some movement, and hopefully this helps you with your phrase. The next thing that works kind of nice, think about this. If you played many jazz tunes at all, if there's a 5 chord, like a dominant chord, what are jazz guys going to put in front of it? A 2 chord all day long. So if, ladies and gentlemen, here's my cat Nat. There he is. He's making his first appearance. I figured he'd do that today. Anyway, he's a showboat. Anyway, so we get back to so what? We're going to have a bar of D minor, and we're going to imply a 2-5 in bar 2. So E minor, A7. That's kind of the harmony that's going through my head that I'm hearing, and that helps me keep that 2-bar phrase thing happening. Okay. Now, in my bass line, I'll play it this way. Go right to the 5. So it's kind of interesting how when we approach it as a as that 2-5, I'm thinking D minor, E, half step above A, half step above D maybe, you know, that root 5th half step above stuff. Half step below. So that kind of gets me out of that only playing just that D Dorian up and down permutation thing. Now, there's a place for that, and we'll talk about that later, which can be absolutely brilliant. But here's something that's real simple that we can all put together, and it helps us keep our space, or our place, excuse me, Freudian slip. It helps us keep our place, and in turn, we'll outline the form for everybody, and then the band will hold together. They won't even know why. They just know that when you're on the gig, nobody gets lost. Hey, somebody's helping us out here, okay? And those are the guys that everybody wants to work with.
The 2015 Kickstarter challenge.
Hey everybody.
Hey
guys.
Hi everybody.
Hello all. Hello.